It's that time of year again. We're going to do our annual Boss Toss and Loss.
This is the Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by Golden Cast Iron. C-Dub, Ike Jones, Be Real, Mike G. You are now listening to
Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by our friends at Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights and code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamado grills. Golden's Cast Iron, helping you guys grill out safely this summer or stay in shape with some Golden's Cast Iron weights. Work out, grill out, chill out with Golden's Cast Iron. I want to thank our friends at setsforsociety.ai. You want to get to know yourself better? Well, Sets for Society has unique personality assessments that they give to help you understand how your brain works, how the minds of your teammates work, your coworkers. Maybe it's a family member or somebody that you're close to, and you just want to know how to communicate better with each other. Setsforsociety.ai can get you started today. Visit them at the web address you see and get your personality assessment started today. Get to know yourself with setsforsociety.ai. I want to thank our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORTER to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever else you in life, the Rogue Shop has you covered. Visit them for all your herbal medicinal needs. And our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. Not just barbers, lifestyle consultants. Get fresh for the weekend with the Vibe Vault. Check us out on podcast, guys. All the podcast platforms. We are there bringing you lots of great audio-only content. The Auburn Express, Uptempo, College Loop, Just a Sec, and the War Report Gaming channel. If you're on your way to work, on your way to school, dropping the kids off, it doesn't matter what you're doing. We've got all our content in audio format only on every single podcast platform. And we got some stuff that we don't post to YouTube that is audio exclusive. So you definitely want to check us out on podcasts. Hit subscribe, turn on automatic downloads. We appreciate you guys for doing that. That being said, start the show. You're muted, Ike. You're muted, Ike.
Might need to actually unmute the microphone in order to talk. But yeah, we're going to get into the conversation about this upcoming season. Every year we do this. This is like third or fourth year. I don't know how many years we've been doing this in a row. I don't think anybody does schedule predictions quite like we do here at the War Report with Boss Toss and Loss. And if you see somebody else doing this, they stole it. This is us. Which I'm fine with other people borrowing our ideas. It's happened so many times that I would be petty to start pointing them out now.
Fair enough.
However, Boss Toss and Loss is what we are doing today. For those uninitiated in what Boss Toss and Loss is, for every game in the season, we determine if it will be a boss, meaning we think Auburn is going to get the win at this point in time, predicting an Auburn win. A loss, of course, is we're predicting Auburn will lose that game. And a toss-up game is one that we feel like could go either way, right? And so we set what we consider to be a relative floor and ceiling for Auburn that season with those predictions. Each of us has our own thoughts on how that is going to go. We will reveal each of those Boss Toss and Loss today on today's show. Before we get into that in particular, though, for those uninitiated and you have not been keeping up with what's going on in the schedule and such, let's run down what the Auburn schedule is for 2025 for those of you here on YouTube. You see the graphic here on your screen. For those on podcast, we'll run it down here. August the 30th, Auburn gets it kicked off at Baylor in Waco, prime time. Just Auburn and Colorado as prime. Speaking of Colorado, did you see that they scheduled that there's some health concerns with Deion Sanders and they scheduled a press conference tomorrow about it?
Yeah, I knew he was having some health concerns, but
yeah,
I did not see that they had scheduled a press conference about said health concerns. So that's interesting.
Yeah, so that's happening here tomorrow for them. Nothing really to do with Auburn, just the fact that they are going to be the other team that is in prime time there, with Colorado having their game that night. But anyway, starting off at Waco versus Baylor, coming back home to play a game versus Ball State, and then versus South Alabama. So Auburn on the road, 2 home games versus 2 non-FBS opponents. Back on the road for the first SEC action, the return of Jackson Arnold to Oklahoma to face the Oklahoma Sooners for the first time. Auburn will be headed there as an SEC opponent, and that will be an interesting game that will have all of the storylines in the world involved as Jackson Arnold returns to Norman and Auburn makes its first appearance there in Norman for a regular season SEC game. Then on the road versus Texas A&M in College Station to face the cheer people. I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna do Texas A&M, but we're going on the road to Texas A&M there in College Station. Back at home for the first home SEC game versus Georgia, night game there at the Plains inside of Jordan-Hare Stadium, Deep South's oldest rivalry, on October the 11th. After a bye week there versus Georgia. Then home game versus Missouri. The Tigers come into town to face the real Tigers of the SEC. Then Auburn's back on the road versus Arkansas at the home game there in Fayetteville for the Razorbacks. Again, T. Will facing his former team there as the defensive coordinator. Then Auburn comes back home to face Kentucky. You'll go on the road versus Vanderbilt, come back home to face Mercer, and then the Iron Bowl to cap the season off there at home. Auburn versus those guys across the state. Is the schedule as it sits right now. Before we get into our predictions on that schedule, Mike G, what you got?
I have been pretty consistent, Ike, about the fact that this schedule is the easiest that I've seen in quite some time. I don't know that I just honestly don't know that I've seen an easier Auburn football schedule relative to their other schedules than the one that we have here. I will say the opening to SEC play is brutal. On the road at Oklahoma, on the road at Texas, on Georgia at home, that's a pretty brutal stretch. But after that, you've got what I just don't think Missouri's going to be that good this year. You got a Missouri team that's got some question marks. You've got an Arkansas team that you lost to last year that you should have beat. But everyone who does this, I'm telling you, Josh Pate said take the under on Arkansas at 5.5. So the expectation is just barely make a bowl game or don't make one at all. Sam Pittman, our guy Chris Phillips at SEC Unfiltered in his coaching hot seat rankings has Sam Pittman as a dead man walking. It sucks from our guy T. Will over there, but I don't see Arkansas doing much this year. That's a team that Auburn should definitely beat. So we'll see if they can handle Taylor Green and company. And then you get Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Mercer, which should be dub. I don't care what Vanderbilt did last year. I know they beat the whole state of Alabama last year. But I think this year that they only gave up 17 points in that game. Pavia didn't have some great game. Look at statistically, he was pretty average in that game. This was about Auburn not being able to move the football, and I don't see them struggling to move the football to that level this year. So that's a game that they should win. And then Mercer in Alabama. This is setting up to be probably one of the more high-stakes Iron Bowls that we've seen in quite some time if this goes the way that we think it's going to go for Auburn. Auburn could be going into the Iron Bowl an 8 or 9-win team. They're a 9-win team going into the Iron Bowl. Woo! Boy, a playoff spot is going to be on the line for one of those teams. They're an 8-win team. 9, while respectable with this schedule, I don't think that gets them into the playoff, but you do have a chance to play spoiler for Alabama potentially and keeping them out of the playoff for a second year straight. It's going to be an exciting season. Lots of opportunities. If Auburn stays healthy, man, look out. This schedule has a lot of potential. If, for some reason, they can't move the football offensively, then we've got a lot of uncomfortable conversations we have to have about this team. But I don't know how you feel about the schedule, but I think this schedule represents a great opportunity for Auburn football to move forward under Hugh Freeze and for him to really validate what he's been saying about building a program the entire time he's been on the Plains. He's pointed to year 3 as a pivotal year for recruiting and for results. This isn't revisionist history. This is what he's been saying the entire time. And just because the first 2 years didn't go as planned, it doesn't change where Auburn is supposed to be in year 3. Everybody's going to say, oh, well, we go through this segment. You guys think that they did this last year and they're making this huge monumental jump. Like, no, so we're clear. They were capable of better than 5-7 last year. So it's not really a jump from what they were capable of to where they should be. A 7-win floor should have been reasonable for Auburn last year. Missing McPherson, I think, cost them 2 wins. And if we're talking about a 7-win floor, then sitting here predicting maybe an 8 or 9 win team is not that huge a jump. It sounds like it when you talk about the 5 wins, but if you go back and you look at how close those games were, I don't know. If Auburn has any pulse offensively, I can't see them repeating that. They're a year more mature on the football field. They are a year more wise in the Hugh Freeze system. You've got a defensive coordinator that's returning. They've got more talent on offense. They should be more settled at quarterback. At running back, we'll see what Damari and Jeremiah can produce. But this should be one of the more exciting passing games in the country. They were last year. It was shrouded by the results, but they did not struggle to produce big plays. They just struggled to make those big plays end in touchdown drives. Yeah, so I'm looking. I think I love the schedule. I think that it is the schedule that Georgia has been getting away with having for forever.
The schedule, like you said, the schedule is definitely favorable. Last year's schedule was favorable. This year, probably a little bit more because you get the rivals at home. But we will see what they actually come up with. Before we get too far into this, let's welcome into the conversation our guy C-Dub, who has arrived. We're going to talk a little schedule, boss, toss, and loss. Before we get into the particulars, though, C, any overall thoughts on the Auburn schedule? Just overall thoughts.
Man, listen, Hugh Freeze has no excuses in year 3. You have the roster, you have the schedule. It's time to make a statement. It's time to make a statement. My boss toss loss list I will explain mine, but I'll also explain why I make the decisions I made. But this is set up to be a perfect scenario for Hugh Freeze to make a statement as Auburn's football coach.
For sure. All right. Well, without further ado, I don't want to prolong this. We're going to get into boss toss and loss. We will kick it off. Mike G, you pretty much gave yours during your schedule tirade there. But here is what Mike has for his boss toss and loss for this season. Again, the column for those of you who are listening on podcast that has boss, he's got Ball State, South Alabama, Mercer, of course, Kentucky, Missouri, Vanderbilt, and Arkansas as all boss, meaning he expects wins from Auburn in those 7 games. Yes. Toss games here are Baylor, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Alabama. And the loss on the schedule for Auburn is Georgia. Mike G, the floor is yours. Boss toss and loss there for the people to see. What you got?
Yeah, assuming no one's arguing with me on Ball State, South Alabama, and Mercer, right? 3 dubs in the bucket. Bam. Kentucky, I just think, come on, man. Like, you ran them off the field last year, literally, with Jarquez Hunter. I expect more of the same this year. Missouri's going to be a very different team. I just think they're going to be a very different team. I have no faith in what they will be year over year. Credit to Eli Drinkwitz. He consistently does the most, I think, with what he has. But you go through cycles, and sometimes in some years that catches up with you. He couldn't get it done with Brady Cook and Luther Burden. And I don't think they got better at either position. I don't think they got better than Brady Cook at quarterback. We saw what he could do when he came back and just absolutely slayed Auburn. Came back from the dead, literally. And with Luther Burden, one of the best wide receivers in the country, definitely like a top 5, top 3 type receiver in the country. They came up short. It's the same energy I have for Ole Miss. It's the same energy I have for Alabama. They had clear paths to the playoffs, and they blew it. And I don't think that this Missouri team got better year over year. I don't. Auburn, practically had that game won. It's a game they should have won last year. I think they win it this year. And then you have Vanderbilt, which to nobody's shock, right? I'm putting this in the ball. I don't care what they did last year. This is the game Auburn should always win. I think the game's on the road this year, right? They go up to Nashville.
Yes.
I had media days. I ran into some Vanderbilt people. And I was like, dude, what's up with all the construction? You guys almost done with all that stuff? I think when you went, they did the post game in like a construction porta potty or something. And then
it was in some trailers in the back.
Oh my God, it was terrible. And then you got an Arkansas team that you inexplicably lost to last year. As I mentioned in the opening, 5.5. Take the under at 5.5 is crazy. Auburn should win that. So that's to me 7 wins in your bucket. That's how I see the schedule. I'm sorry, argue with the wall. Auburn's better from a talent perspective than all these teams. In the toss column, week 1, man. I think the anxiety around what week 1 could be, it's just how polished is Auburn going to look coming out offensively. Make no mistake, Sawyer Robertson is a good quarterback, and they're going to try to sling it around the football field on this Tiger defense. Can DJ Durkin dial up the pressure with Keldrick Falk and company and get after it? I think this is going to be about whether Auburn can score a normal amount of points, because I believe Durkin's defense will keep Baylor within striking range. Can they get off to a fast start? Can they find and get Cam Coleman into the game early? Can they establish the run with Damari Alston and Jeremiah Cobb? All the questions for game 1. I don't know how you don't put game 1 in the toss column, because everybody has questions about what this team is going to look like coming out the gate and how quickly they can get it together. The Oklahoma game, you go to Norman for the first time. John Mateer, they picked up the number 1 player in the portal. I've got questions about Venables. I think his seat is at least warm. I don't know. I spoke with some Oklahoma people at SEC Media Days. Everybody's worried about this game on both sides. If you're Auburn, this is your open to SEC play. The Jackson Arnold revenge game. I think this one's a toss-up. We'll see how Auburn does in this one. Texas A&M, same thing. Mike Elko had a really good debut in my book at Texas A&M. Toss-up game there. Auburn has proven they can win in College Station, though. I got to say that better Auburn teams have gone in there and come out with wins. I think this Auburn team will be no different in their chances to come out with a win. And then there's the Iron Bowl. Hell, they almost won it 2 years ago. Whenever it's on the Plains, it's a toss. And I think Alabama has a lot of questions as well, too. They seem to like their team. Recruiting's going well, 9-3, but they underwhelmed last year. You missed the playoffs. I'm sorry. Nick Saban would not have missed the playoffs with that squad. Kalen DeBoer did. I've got questions about coaching there, but I do think that they do enough that there's something on the line in this Iron Bowl. Something will be on the line for both teams in this Iron Bowl. And then Georgia is just an L until further notice. I gotta say it, man. We beat Georgia since 2017. It's been, man, you don't beat them this year. That's like, 9 years since you beat Georgia. That's rough. That's really rough. So I've got Georgia in the L column here. I think they come into the Plains and get the win. But it shouldn't be the end of Auburn's season if they handle, like as I mentioned, in the first half, in the first 6 games, you've got Ball State and South Alabama there. And then you have Baylor, which is a toss for your first game. They've got to get out of this schedule. Man, 4-2, you're making a playoff run. 3-3 is going to be really hard to bounce back from, I think. With 3-3, I mean, you win 6 straight and to get to be a 9-win team, and that still got you out. But the goal should be to come out of that first game stretch, that 6-game stretch, 4-2. That means beat Baylor and win one of your first 3 SEC games. 2 on the road. Personally, I think those are very reasonable expectations for Auburn in year 3. So that's my boss toss loss. It may seem a little, somebody's going to look at this and say, you think Auburn potentially goes 11-1? No, that's not what this means. They're going to lose and win some in that toss column. The reason they're in the toss is because at this juncture, I'm not sure which one is which right now. As the season goes on, we'll find out. We'll find out quickly about Baylor because it's the first game. But OU and Texas A&M to open the SEC schedule, I've just got questions. I got questions about which way they could lose all those games. I don't think they win them all, but they could definitely lose them all. And that's why I got them in the toss. So I if they win them all, good God, Auburn's having a season for the ages.
For sure.
Yeah, I don't think that's what's going to happen, though.
Okay. All right. Well, that is Mike G's boss toss and loss for 2025. Next up, let's get to our guy C. Boss toss and loss for Caesar here. He's got in his boss column Ball State, South Alabama, Mercer, of course, Kentucky, Missouri, and Vanderbilt. In the toss column, we've got Baylor, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Georgia, and Alabama. In the loss column, Texas A&M. Caesar, the floor is yours, sir.
So much like what Mike G said about the boss, I don't expect. I'm not even addressing Ball State in South Alabama. Starting with Kentucky. Kentucky has not improved. I don't think they've improved enough to scare me. And Auburn dominated Kentucky on the road last year. And I think Auburn has improved. I don't know if Kentucky has taken a step forward. Kentucky has, under Stoops, has continuously had struggles at the QB position. I don't think Stoops fixes that in enough time. They're going to have to figure out how to throw a forward pass. They've had some decent running backs come through that program, but I just don't expect Kentucky to go on the road and really challenge Auburn, especially judging by how Auburn dominated the line of scrimmage just last year. They're going to be at home in Jordan-Hare. I expect that to be a dub. Missouri, this game was frustrating. I think this team has revenge on their mind against Missouri. Auburn was in control of this game last year. They were in control of this game. And we joke about all of the things that they did to Brady Cook in the back that was illegal that caused him to come out and win that game for Missouri. He's no longer there, and I think they have a lot of question marks. I don't think they're the same team that they were that was poised to actually make a playoff run last year. I think they take a step back under Eli Drinkwitz this year, and I think they're primed for the taking to lose on the road. Vandy, listen, I don't remember. Auburn has lost to Vandy before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Auburn has ever lost 2 years in a row to Vandy.
I don't believe that is a fact. 2 times in a row. I don't think so.
I don't think they've lost 2 times in a row to Vandy. History, and we got to look into that. Even if they have, it's been a long time since that's ever happened.
For sure.
This is history. Like, you don't make history. Don't make this type of history in year 3. Beat Vanderbilt, please. Beat Vanderbilt. It ain't even about Pavia. Beat Vanderbilt, because you held Pavia in check last year. My toss list is really indicative of Hugh Freeze, because in my personal opinion, going into year 3, from a coaching standpoint, he's one big toss. I need Hugh Freeze to start moving some of these toss games over into the boss column. And it starts with Baylor game 1. And there's so many questions around both teams, Auburn especially, as to what type of team are we going to see, because we've seen this team show up defensively time and time again to keep them in games. And the offensive head coach has struggled to generate offense through 2 seasons. This has to be the year where Auburn shows signs of life, because you have recruited lights out on that side of the ball. You've upgraded the QB room. You've upgraded the wide receiver core. Your offensive line seems to be stable, and you have veterans along the offensive line. Now this is on coaching, in-game decisions. This is on those guys understanding where they're supposed to be and executing. We want to see a team, to Mike's point, that's more mature, that is more settled in this system, more confident in what they're doing, and just going out and playing ball and making plays. We've seen glimpses of that last year when Auburn was explosive, but for every 2 or 3 explosive plays, Auburn would turn the ball over. Right. So it mitigates you how explosive you can be as an offense when you don't take care of the ball. I want to see a team that builds upon some of the things it did last year, but begin to win that turnover battle. I think it wasn't until week 5, guys, that Auburn finally won the turnover battle. Something crazy like that. Last year, like, Auburn has to begin, if they're going to switch this narrative in year 3, they're going to have to begin to take care of the football on the offensive side of the ball. And it starts with Baylor. Oklahoma, that's a revenge game, is what you control that game. Again, this is another one of those games where Auburn was in control, but for whatever reason couldn't get out of its own way. You have an opportunity to go on the road. And again, Jackson Arnold is going to be very motivated to go on the road and win this game for Auburn, especially considering how things have ended. I think he handled a lot of the questions really well a couple of weeks ago at SEC Media Days, but trust and believe he has this one circled. And I think Auburn rallies around him, and I think they put up a good showing on the road. But this is definitely one of the toss games. Why is Arkansas on my toss?
I thought about when I was putting this together, I read it like 4 times as I was prepping the graph. I was like, am I doing it? Is this a typo?
I hope you asked it. I hope you asked that question. Here's why I put Arkansas right there, because in Power 4 coaching, Auburn, Ole Miss, there has been a year where Hugh Freeze has an inexplicable loss.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Regardless of talent, there is a loss that you look on his schedule and you ask, how did he lose that game?
Yeah.
This is the game. To me, this is the game right here. You can argue Vanderbilt. You can put Vanderbilt in that same category. This is the game right here. Hugh Freeze did it at Ole Miss. It pissed off Ole Miss fans because you would beat Bama and then come back and lose a game. And you're like, how? Is bipolarish how his teams can be at times. You're going on the road, and one of the things that I've seen the Hugh Freeze teams have done really poorly is play well on the road. This is a road game, and I need this team to really begin to grow up. Granted, they've been battle tested by the time they would have played Arkansas, but I think that's what would make this an even more inexplicable loss is that you've played Baylor, you've played Oklahoma, you played A&M by this point. You should be ready to go on the road, but again, I need this team to show some maturity. In year 3, as your midway point of the season, you're beating teams you're supposed to beat. But they're going to have to prove to me that they're capable of doing that because last year they didn't do that. And they were in control of those games. Finishing games is what I need to see from these teams. You got Georgia and Bama at home, and the past couple of times that Georgia and Bama have been in Jordan-Hare, they had to eke out a win. It was close for them, and they did that with an inferior roster at Auburn, which Hugh Freeze has been upgrading year after year. It's time. It's time to get one of these wins, one of these games. I would like for it to be Georgia because they have, in my opinion, more question marks. Well, Bama got a lot of question marks too. Both of these teams have question marks. You got to get one of these two teams. You got to pick off one of these two teams. Georgia, you get them earlier in the season. They may not have ironed out all the kinks. Georgia player has talked about at media days how tough it is to play in Auburn. I think Auburn gets up for this game, especially if they're on schedule by the time that this game comes on, and Auburn may have 1 loss, 2 losses at most. Auburn's going to be up for this game and ready to compete. I'm definitely putting this in a toss. The game that worries me the most, because it's a road game, it's early in the season, and you're still trying to put things together, is A&M. That game worries me because I think A&M is going to be better in year 2 under Mike Elko. And they were impressive last year in year 1. Very talented team. He's actually recruiting really well, did well in the portal. I think they begin to fill some needs. This game concerns me. I think Auburn has a chance, but I will put this more in the loss category than the toss category. It's a road game. You know how teams are on the road. That's why they're there. So those are my thoughts. I think Auburn has a lot to prove this year. They got to address that middle area. If you get one of those, you move some of those toss games to the left, we're going to start really beginning to believe in what Hugh Freeze is actually doing. We believe in him as a recruiter. I'm ready to believe in Hugh Freeze as an in-game coach who's able to out-coach some of the best guys in the league.
Starts week 1 at Baylor for sure. Caesar. Yeah. So you beat them week 1 and you move that over to the boss column. I think the outlook for the season starts to brighten quickly. And if you look good doing it, even better. But, a lot of people at media days told it doesn't matter how you get the win week 1, just get the win. I agree with that to some extent, but I would like to see the offense come out looking polished since you settled on your quarterback so early in the process and you got so many returning receivers in this system. You got returning running backs. This should be a fairly well gelled team. If the offensive line comes together, if Xavier Chaplin and Mason Murphy and those guys pan out,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Just beat Baylor and then keep it rolling.
Mike, I mean, listen, how many games, if Auburn just scored 21 points, they win last year? Think about
Yeah,
that.
and
And
it was
Auburn
a lot.
couldn't do it. You're not asking for Auburn to score 45 on Baylor. You're not asking for Auburn to hang 50, half 100 on them. Just get the 24-28. Just do that.
I don't know. I think you're going to need more points than that in that Baylor game to win. Just
I think you're going to be like 30 to
offense.
35 points. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't see them score less than 30 and winning that game. It's
sure.
Yeah, I just don't. I mean, if they're stalling out and they're giving Sawyer Robinson and Baylor more opportunities offensively, it's going to be one of those bend but hopefully don't break type situations for the guys on defense where they're going to rack up yards. Can you keep them out of the end zone enough times and get your offense in the end zone enough times is always the story for Auburn. And, last year, more than not, I thought that they did a decent job keeping the other team out of the end zone the requisite amount of times that a regular offense should have been able to win that game. Regular amount of offense beats Vanderbilt last year. Right?
Yeah.
A regular amount of offense potentially has you in overtime with Alabama last year. Your defense gave you 4 turnovers.
Right.
If they turn Baylor over 4 times and you can't score 21 points, what are we doing? I don't understand. I mean, 4 times.
Yeah, I do think style points matter in that Baylor game, unlike some people. I mean, I agree. Winning it is better than losing it, but I do think the style points of how you win it matter.
I'm with you
for the outlook. Of the season.
Give me style points. Like hang as many points as you can on them. But
I'm not saying you can't win a close game. I'm saying that game can't be 14-17. Like you need to be able to show that you can score points. And even, I would argue a loss in a high scoring game is cause for concern for your defense, maybe, but a tip of the cap to, okay, maybe Baylor's just got a good offense. I'd be way more encouraged by a loss with a bunch of points than I would be by a win with a few amount of points.
Okay, high scoring. Yeah, because the defense, I believe, will bounce back.
Yeah,
and
agreed.
Not everybody's going to be able to do what Baylor's going to be able to do offensively on this schedule. So, I would agree with that assessment as well, too. Right, a high scoring loss would definitely leave me more encouraged than a low scoring win, because we know somebody's going to put up some points at some point, and is Auburn going to be able to match that energy? That's right. They haven't been able to do that so far the first 2 years. So, I agree with that completely.
All right, we are going to get to the break here. We're going to come back with my boss toss and loss, but you all have been great in the comment section, so we're going to get to your comments. You are watching the Weekend Tailgate. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and go ahead and share the content with somebody. We'll be right back after a quick word from the sponsors.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com.
The Rage Room. The Rage Room is a place where anger and stress find their ultimate release. Set up a session today at one of the 2 great locations in Opelika or Birmingham by visiting opelika.rageroom.com or birminghamrageroom.com.
As always, want to thank our title sponsor, Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights and code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamalos grills. Get outside, start grilling, start working out, work out, grill out, chill out with Golden's Cast Iron. I want to thank everybody who joined as a member so far on this live cast, or give the gift of the War Report. $6.99 a month, or $5.99 a month will get you there. Patron level. We got lots of great film reviews, some things that will be going on in season that will be member only. You don't want to miss that stuff. Again, as I mentioned, hit that gifted membership button. Help give the gift of the War Report. YouTube chooses these at random, so check your email. You may have one membership sitting there right now if you haven't checked it. Join the Green Name Gang by accepting your gifted membership today. Check podcast platforms. We are there with the Auburn Express, Uptempo College Loop, Just a Sec, and the War Report Gaming channel. Lots of great content in audio only format for you guys. I want to thank our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code Reporter to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop that has something that has you covered. And our friends at the Vibe Vault, you can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. Not just barbers, a lifestyle consultants. Get fresh for the weekend with the Vibe Vault. Also, want to thank our friends at setsforsociety.ai. Get to know yourself, become a better teammate, a coworker, become a better partner with setsforsociety.ai. They have unique personality assessments to help you know a little bit more about yourself, how you function within a team, how you can communicate better with a team. Setsforsociety.ai. Visit them to get started on your personality assessment today. Get to know yourself with setsforsociety.ai.
All right, good people. Let's get over here to this comment section and see what is buzzing about. Keep Kaylin in Tuscaloosa for gifting a War Report membership, as well as Damian Prentice gifting a War Report membership today. Let's get to these super chats. Two of them from Kyle Sweat. The first of them says, how many games do we win if we score 28 points? I mean, listen,
more than 5.
Definitely more than last year, but let's take a look just one more time. The question is 28 points. How many of these teams do you think are going to score over 28 points on Auburn?
Remember,
Baylor,
A&M,
I think, could put up 28 plus.
Yeah. A&M, that game went to quadruple overtime, so it was in the 40s.
Right.
But I think that they put up more than 28 on them as well, too. I think they bounced back against Vandy and Kentucky. And
I'm talking about which of the teams do you think could score more than 28 on Auburn, right?
On Auburn?
At least 7 teams I know absolutely won't do it.
Georgia could. I don't know.
Oklahoma, maybe. Texas A&M, maybe, right?
Yeah, those are the maybes. Those are the maybes.
Yeah.
So let's just say if you score at least 28 points in every game, you're saying Auburn has an opportunity to win all but 4 games for sure, based upon that assessment. If you can score 28 plus.
Georgia and Bama, they absolutely can. They have A&M.
I mean, outside of A&M, again, which I mentioned, that game went to quadruple overtime.
Sure.
Georgia was the only one that got more than 28. Right?
Yeah.
They scored 30 points.
Yeah. And
and that was last year. I just think they're better this year.
Yeah. So, I mean, with that type of thought process, if Auburn can score, and again, that's an if, we haven't seen the offense yet, you got a chance to win like 10 games if you score 28 points in every one of them.
Yeah, looking at these, look at the losses, man. Cal only scored 21 points. Arkansas scored 24 points. Oklahoma scored 27 points. Georgia had 31. Missouri had 21 points. And Vandy had 17 points. Alabama, 28 points. Like, you win at least.
You're winning at least 9 games.
You lost. Yeah. you win 5 of the 7
games.
you lost if you can get the 28 points.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, listen, we'll see what this year's Auburn offense looks like. Kyle Sweat with another one. Can y'all do the same boss toss and loss on all SEC teams? Kyle, I've already got this planned, but I'm going to bring in.
Oh, we lost your mic.
Yeah, I don't know what just happened. You guys got me now?
You're back.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to bring in content creators from the other schools to do it. So yeah, I will oblige this request before the season starts to try to get someone on from each school to do a boss toss and loss with them. War Eagle jumps in and hold on. Sorry, another super chat. I missed this one. I say Auburn goes 9-3 this year, with Auburn gets their 6th win versus Georgia and gets bowl eligible. 6th win versus Georgia. Wow.
So Auburn's undefeated.
Right. 32-29 Auburn over Georgia. Alex McPherson with a game-winning field goal. War damn Eagle.
Okay. If Auburn is 6-0 after beating Georgia
and finishes 9-3, like
who are the other 2 losses? What are the other 2 losses?
Yeah.
What are the other
obviously you're
losses?
losing to Bama. You're losing to Bama. That's one. So what's the other 2 losses?
Oh, you're saying it's obvious that Bama, the only one left is that's an acceptable loss, I guess, would be Bama, but
that would make sense.
Like I'm.
Yeah, lost him again. But yeah,
but again, the way he was about to say, yeah, like I mean, Missouri, Kentucky, Arkansas, Mercer, Vanderbilt. Yeah. You tell me which two of
He's
those.
he's saying Hugh Freeze has 2 inexplicable losses after going undefeated.
Man.
Yeah, this doesn't feel good at all.
Yeah, this sounds amazing on his face, but when you say the 6th win versus Georgia, you're kind of pissed because you done missed out on a playoff opportunity losing to someone you shouldn't have lost to.
Yeah. You're probably top 5 in the country at this point. You beat Georgia. Auburn's a top 5 team in the country, and then they have a monumental fall from grace.
I don't know if they climb the top 5.
Oh, yeah, I'm telling you.
Yeah, they might do it.
Top 5.
They might do it. You beat Georgia. You beat A&M. You beat
A&M and Oklahoma on the road.
Yeah,
let me look at this schedule again. All right, hold on, because you're gonna come in. Well, it depends on where they come into the season ranked, right? Where do you think they start the season ranked? Outside the top 25, I wouldn't know. If so, you're going to have beat Oklahoma on the road. Will they be ranked? Texas A&M probably will be ranked. So you'll have, and Baylor might, well, I don't know. Baylor might be ranked too. So if you have 3 ranked wins, okay, maybe, and you beat Georgia, then okay, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see
absolutely,
yeah. I'm telling you, it's going to be top 5 if they start 6-0. Because you remember who was the guy from On 3? I think it was Andy Staples. He had Auburn like 13 and is like way too early.
Yeah,
there are some people out there that are really, really high on Auburn coming into the season, recognizing the talent level that Hugh Freeze has brought to the Plains. So I think they'll border on a top 25 team, if not just inside the top 25 when the official preseason rankings come out. And I don't even know what you want to count as official preseason rankings these days. Like, I mean, the AP is not used in anything meaningful anymore. I just don't know, but I'm telling you, it will not be a stretch based on what we heard from Hugh Freeze at Media Days that if they start 6-0, all-time levels of bug. I'm telling you right now, and to finish 9-3 after that, the air came all the way out of the tire.
You want to be disappointed over a 9-3 season? Do exactly this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's gonna feel
exactly this
for sure.
Yeah,
I was with you until the 9-3 juxtaposed with the how you got there. I'm like, I don't know, but I want 3 of them losses after that.
Yeah.
All right. Kalen in Tuscaloosa says the underrated aspect of last year's failures, we couldn't get any defensive or special teams turnovers or scores. Fix that, and we're at 7 or 8 wins. Yeah. You gotta figure out if you're gonna give the ball away as many times as Auburn did last year, you got to do something to get the ball back a little bit more consistently. James Barnett with a chat here. I'm sorry. It's not acceptable if Auburn beats Georgia and Bama, but only has 9-3 record. That means we lost to teams we shouldn't to. Just my opinion. Yeah, if you beat both of those teams and you still lose 3 games on this schedule, especially if you start at 6-0. Like if you told me Auburn lost to Baylor, Texas A&M, and Oklahoma, but clean the rest of that schedule, I would say hell of a comeback in the season to get to that place, right? Number one. And number two, I'd take that every day because you beat both Georgia and Bama in that season on your way to 9 wins. That feel a lot better than the other scenario we just laid out.
That feels like a very Hugh Freeze thing to do, though. I don't want to see that, but yeah, that would be frustrating.
All right. And War Eagle says, bucket time for Ike. We're going to run the table with the strong arm emojis, baby. I'm not mad at
Love
that.
to see it.
All right, let's get into this boss toss and loss for me here. And you know what I'm saying? I mean,
you're on a struggle bus here. Yeah.
You asked, and I'm obliging.
Ike, where's your picture? There you go.
Okay. Okay. He had to. Okay. Got it.
Okay. Listen, I'm talking crazy. I told y'all I'm talking crazy all off season. As soon as we get into this, I don't care nothing about none of these teams. F every last one of y'all and your mama. Bossing it up versus the 3 we supposed to boss and the ones in conference you supposed to boss in Kentucky, Missouri, Arkansas, and Vandy, and everything else is a toss up. I ain't conceding no ground before the season starts. I don't care what nobody thinks about this. It's all toss ups from here on out. You got an opportunity to go into Waco and win. Yes, you got an opportunity to go into Norman and win. Yes, you can beat Georgia at the crib. Yes, you can beat Bama at the crib. And yes, you can go into College Station and get this dub. I don't care. Bug City from here on out. Y'all can get in here and call me crazy. You can tell me that I'm delusional. I'm being that until they show me otherwise. Talk to me nice. Yes, tossing everything out of here. Tossing them out the club like a bouncer, baby. Get them out of here. Boog City, yes.
I went to Magic City last night or something. Look. Well, yeah, hold on, wait. He's got a. Is that the explanation?
The explanation is F them. Yes.
Yeah. It's pretty simple. Hey, listen, I'm never going to get mad at you for booging, as long as you call it a boog. All right? Call it a boog.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Go for it.
That's funny. Look, I this looks crazy. But on its face, let's be honest, we only put one team in the loss column.
Yeah.
We only put one team in the loss column. All you did was take that one team and bump it over to maybe. So I think that on its face, yes, Auburn should be in every single game. I mean, and if you think about it, I could have easily put Georgia in the toss column, but so I understand this. And I'm telling you, Georgia fans understand this. I think a lot of Georgia fans would say this game scares them.
If they're being honest, they should say that.
Yeah. Look, a lot of honest Georgia fans have told me this game scares them. And that game was a lot harder than it looked like on the scoreboard when they went to Athens. So when you're coming to the Plains, anything kind of goes. And, like you said, a Georgia player got on the podium and talked about how Auburn was the most difficult place to play in the SEC. I think personally LSU at night holds that crown for me. But sure. Auburn is a very difficult place to go out, come in and get out with a win. So teams have done it a little bit more often now the last couple of years, it seems. But yeah, this isn't crazy.
But it hasn't been easy. Like let's not like act like people have just been walking in the Jordan Hare and rolling over Auburn consistently. It's happened, but Georgia. That was a difficult win for them. They had to make some magic happen at the end with Brock Bowers 2 years ago. Bama needed a miraculous fourth and whatever it was at the end of that game. Listen, Auburn, when you have those two games at home, you've got an opportunity to win. I think that from a big game coaching standpoint, we can dislike Coach Hugh Freeze in a lot of things. In big games, he seems to have the offense geared up and ready to be able to go out there and put up points, particularly when they're at home. He had them in that position really last year versus Georgia and Bama on the road. And it was some miscues with, again, you turn the ball over as many times as you do in the season, you're going to lose those games. If they can clean those things up, they absolutely can come out of those games with a win. I have been on record in saying I think Texas A&M is going to be a really good team this year. If there were a team I would move to the loss column, it would be Texas A&M, because I think Texas A&M at home, with the way that they're going to be able to control the line of scrimmage with their offensive line and their running backs, and a quarterback who can run. And they've proven to have some struggles with running quarterbacks, whether it was Taylon Green last year or with Marcel Reed last year. You've got the opportunity for that to be a potential loss. Baylor, again, we've already laid it out as to why I'm not just like, yeah, we're going to win the Baylor game. Baylor's going to be a team that I think is going to put up points. John Mateer is a quarterback that I think has the ability to be dual threat and go out there and sling it for a bunch of yards, and he can run it a little bit himself. So there's going to be challenges on this schedule. They're not going to go 12-0. But I'm not conceding anybody as a definite loss right now. And that's, again, I get it. Boog, whatever. You can assign whatever you want to that assessment and think I'm crazy. It would only be crazy if I moved all 12 of them over to the boss column, though.
Hey,
yeah,
I mean,
and again, I'm stressing to anybody listening to this because, and I don't know if you spelled it out for the people on pod, but, Ice got Ball State, South Alabama, Kentucky, Mercer, Missouri, Arkansas, and Vanderbilt in the boss column. In the toss column, we've got Baylor, Oklahoma, Georgia, Alabama, and Texas A&M. Nobody in the loss column. A toss means Auburn is going to lose some of these games in the middle. Like, it's going to happen. But we don't know which ones. Some combination of these are going to be wins and losses. And I think it's more likely that Auburn loses them all than they win them all. but I don't think either is very likely. They're gonna split these, and in this scenario,
and that's what I'm saying is they probably split these games like 3-2, 2-3, whichever way is what
correct.
I would anticipate it being. But
even
these
at
games
2
we're
and
gonna
3,
win on.
even at 2 and 3, Ike, in this stretch, they're a 9-win football team.
Right.
So it sounds to me is that between the three of us, we have given Auburn's floor as 7 wins this year, because I think we all
100%. I think everybody had 7 in the boss.
7
column.
is the floor. Yeah. I don't see them losing less, more, or winning less than 7 games. That would be like I will say it again. I said it on that SEC.
That's a
podcast.
doomsday scenario.
Yeah, less than 7 wins, firing should not be off the table. Too much money has been spent. Too many resources have been put in. Too much time. Too much fan support. Too much of everything for you to win less than 7 games this year. We went at Coach Hugh Freeze and I went at this in our one-on-one when I talked about 7 wins, and he said, "Well, I think it's how you get to 7." Respectfully, sir, no, I don't think it matters. I think that if you only win 7, you flopped in a stretch that, when you look at that schedule, it's hard. Like you said, the guy said 9-3. Oh, on his face, that looks like a good season. But if you factor in Auburn starting 6-0, I cannot stress that stretch from Missouri to Mercer is as easy a stretch of football as Auburn has seen in 20 years. To lose 2 or 3 of those games would be inexplicable. You're talking about an all-time fall from grace. I don't want to see that. I'd rather see Auburn go 4-2 in the first stretch and then clean that next stretch. Beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. That's what Missouri represents. Arkansas, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Mercer. These are teams that you're supposed to beat.
Yeah.
So if they can beat those teams, then I think that you're in a better place if you're Hugh Freeze than if you do what you did at Ole Miss, which is beat Saban and then lose to Vanderbilt.
Right.
Yep.
The only
saying about Arkansas, right?
The only thing that makes sense about losing like that, if you were, the whole 6-0 and then going 9-3, is if you key people get injured, right? The QB goes down, some things happen to where, okay, all right, something happened. This isn't the same team that ran the table the first half of the season. This is a completely different team. Injuries, things have occurred. You don't wish that. You don't want that to happen. But that's the only scenario I can think of why we'll put an asterisk by that 9-3 season, because we're wondering what could have been, because Auburn was clearly on his way to doing something special if you beat Georgia for your 6th win of the season.
I would even argue, though, at this point, with the advent of the portal, and that if your QB goes down, you have a capable backup, that's a monumental failure on this staff as well, too.
I agree.
Whoever wins QB2 needs to be able to step in and run the offense at a reasonable level going into your 3rd year on the job.
I think it would need to be more than just one. It'd have to be like your quarterback goes down and your center goes down.
And like your line, the O-line. It has to be almost not as bad as Oklahoma last year, but it's almost like there are several things that went wrong to where this isn't the same team that people was beginning to fear.
But we can't be able, in those scenarios, be able to point back to something systemic as to why those injuries are happening as well, too. Right. We talk about this on the show before, about strength and conditioning. You train first and foremost. Any athlete will tell you the first reason you train is to prevent injury. If you are a highly trained athlete, the better trained you are, the least likely you are to get injured. Now, if we're talking about freak blown ACLs or people landing on, that's different. That's different. But it's just so hard to look at that, like to foresee something like that you don't even really factor it in to your prediction. What if your whole wide receiver?
Yeah, no, I mean, to Caesar's point, that's the only way a 9-3 season with a 6-0 start would even remotely feel like, okay, I see how that could happen. Like,
you can explain that away better than your team is intact and you drop 3 games. Like that's
Harson's first year when Bo got hurt.
Yes,
that.
Yeah,
but
to your point, in that scenario, after Bo went down, God bless him, TJ wasn't an acceptable backup in that scenario. And then he got hurt too, and he was playing hurt the last. Like there was nothing. There was almost no way. Like Auburn being in games at that point in time was a miracle, right? And so yes, you could go if you went into that type of situation and you could clearly look at this is the inflection point where this is where that team went downhill. It was because of this particular thing. I firmly believe if Bo Nix finishes that season healthy with Auburn wins a few more games that year.
Yeah. This is why I think that who they pick to be the backup is going to be so interesting this year. If Deuce is QB2, like what a vote of confidence for that young man. He wins QB2 this year. He's your heir apparent, clearly. Nobody's coming in beating him out after Jackson Arnold's gone. That's the way I see it. If he's not, that's ongoing, but Ashton Daniels isn't going to be here next year regardless.
Yeah.
So, it will be. I think there's some interesting math here in the fall in terms of who wins certain backup spots. I went to a wedding last night, and there was old money at this wedding last night. And when I say old money, there were a lot of Auburn boosters this particular wedding. And guy sitting next to me started talking about Alvin Henderson and how good he is and just how much they think that guy is going to be something special here. And I think that they've recruited so well. There are some guys that are kind of off the radar that may jump on the radar in the first 4 games, especially with South Alabama and Ball State sitting right there in games 2 and 3. The first time we get to see Alvin Henderson, how shocked are some people going to be at how good he is? He's been described as untackleable. He can't tackle him. He said it was just he's always looked like a man amongst boys kind of deal. And they expect that to continue at the college level. So there should be some surprise players on this team that break into the 2 deep. And the question is going to be, do you have that guy at key positions? Do you have that guy at quarterback? If someone on the offensive, if the left tackle goes down, do you have a capable left tackle that can step in and protect the blind side of the quarterback? These are all questions I have that I'm telling you. I mean, you want to staying healthy is kind of the key here. Look what happened in Missouri last year. Is Brady Cook's injury cost them a playoff spot late in the season?
Possibly, honestly.
Yeah. Like they pulled it off versus Auburn, but then the very next week, right, they took the L.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't come back in that one. I wish that he had done that a week earlier, but
right. Been nice.
Yeah, we took way too good care of him apparently. But like I just think a lot will be revealed this year. And if you're Hugh Freeze, either way, you're not going to be able to hide from the results. And that's kind of where I was at. I say I don't see a lot of scenarios other than the one we just painted out where he's going to be able to hide behind. This is why we went 7-5. There is an explanation, but it's so far out there. I don't even want to talk about it. Yeah. Right. A lot of people get hurt in that explanation. And I don't want to talk about that. Go win 8 games and silence and get to the next year. Right. You win 8 games, you get to the next year. And I'm telling you, Auburn will start the season as a top 10 team going into 2027 with potentially a returning quarterback that played well enough to get you to 8 games and, a defense that should still be it should be pretty as senior as you can get without turning over a lot of guys. And they should be pretty good again. DeMarcus Riddick in his 3rd year. Jay Crane said something to us during media days that really stuck with me. He said, when you look at DeMarcus Riddick, he looks like what Georgia has and what like Alabama has had at linebacker. These guys look like what the top teams in college football have. And I got to agree with them. Yeah, I do. I think Auburn has a lot of guys. When you look at the top teams that have been good, they've got guys like that. Yeah. Just the talk the last few weeks about how good is Cam Coleman. He's really good. There's no excuse. Get him the ball. And we validated that as media and media days. Right? We validated that. We voted Cam Coleman preseason first team All SEC along with Ryan Williams. That's the guy you have on your team.
Yeah.
Keldrick Falk, first team All SEC, man. Come on. If these guys live up to their first team All SEC billing, Auburn should have a pretty good season. You have enough guys on the list to justify it.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I just think for a team that's lost more games than they've won the last 4 years, for the media to come together, and Ike and I have tried to describe this process to fans. A lot of names get thrown out there to vote on, and you don't know who half these people are.
Right.
So to have recognizable names on the list that you can consensus vote on means that those players have done enough to be voted first team All SEC by people who may not follow their team that well. Right? It's not just like all the Auburn people and voted for Cam Coleman and Keldrick Falk and they made it. There's not enough of that. Them there to sway. So for them to get recognition, that's a big deal. That is a consensus, man. People, everybody across the SEC said Cam Coleman is a guy. Keldrick Falk is a guy. And even Connor Lew and some of those guys that made like third team, Singleton coming into the conference first year, he was third team all SEC offense.
Yeah.
Who was the other guy we had third team on offense?
Connor Lew.
It was Connor. Was
it a tackle?
No.
Was it Xavier Chaplin? Did he make it?
That's what I was like. It wasn't Xavier Chaplin?
I think Xavier Chaplin made it too.
Hold on. Go ahead. I'll keep talking. I'll find it.
Yeah, he snuck on there. I was like, you got two transfers.
Maybe the left. I thought it was the left.
And Eric
left tackle
Singleton. It was Connor, Xavier, and Eric Singleton, third team All SEC.
Oh, wait a minute. That's not it. Keep going. Keep talking. I'll find it.
Yeah. So
Mike, you made a statement. I think we caught Mike G. Mike G went on Feinbaum a few weeks ago, and he basically said that Hugh Freeze essentially in 2 years got removed all of the excuses that he was able to make the first 2 years.
Yeah.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time, Mike.
Yeah, at some point, and that's why I think you see the marked change in his tone, because he got raked over the coals for what he said to the next round about just making a bowl game. But like I said, I think that was overblown and taken out of context. Yeah, what he was really trying to say is, I think
it was Xavier Chaplin. Go ahead.
Xavier Chaplin,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that the floor is bowl game, is what he was trying to say. But is that the expectation? No. They're shooting for much higher than that. They're just not going to come out.
I don't even think he was saying the floor was bowl game. I think he was saying it would be unacceptable for us to not at least do that. Like,
certainly we should make a bowl. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, let's talk are you going to make the bowl conversation? Let's throw that away. We should certainly do that. The question is, how many games above bowl eligible does Auburn get? And that's where he's like, let's not start a conversation on does Auburn make a bowl this year? Because throw that out the window. We should certainly do that. How many games above 6 are we going to get is where that conversation should begin.
Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, it is. And certainly it wouldn't be at 6, because based on our one-on-one with him, I think in his mind, 7 is more of a floor than 6 is, right? But it's the SEC, and he doesn't think there's anything such thing as an easy schedule in the conference, or how you slice it, which I can co-sign that, even though this is easier, right? Like, I mean, because we got to keep the same energy for ourselves that we have for Georgia when we talk about their SEC East schedules. This is an SEC East schedule. It is. I still don't think, even with the SEC East schedule, that Georgia saw anything like opening their SEC play, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Georgia, or whoever the equivalent of Georgia would have been, plus somebody Alabama. They still never got a stretch like that in their schedule. So Auburn has that up on them. But they should be in ball games this year. The question is, what side of it is Auburn going to land in those toss-ups?
Yeah.
Are they going to land on the right side more often than not? If they go 3-2 in that stretch, they're a 10-win football. right? And when I say in that stretch, I mean in Ike's scenario with no games in the loss and all those games in the toss. 3-2, watch out. 2-3, still pretty good, but probably just coming up short of the playoff. Anything less than 2-3, like 1-4, like man, it's going to be tough. That's still an 8-win football team, but that's going to be a really hard pill to swallow because of who you beat, and then you probably have some disappointing losses in there.
Yeah.
Can we pull Ike's boss toss and loss back up? Ike, can you pull yours back up? Right. So, I mean, when you look at this toss column, would you consider any of these a disappointing loss?
No.
Baylor probably.
I don't. Well, from the standpoint of Baylor would be the one of like, again, I think it's how you lose that Baylor, not necessarily if you lose it. But I think all of those would be acceptable losses on your schedule as far as that was a quality team, because I do think Baylor's a quality team. I do think Oklahoma is going to be a quality team. Georgia is, of course, going to be quality. Bama's going to be quality. Texas. I don't think any of those are bad losses, but you can't lose any of them in a bad way.
Okay, right. But I mean, again, a low-scoring loss you said would be disappointing.
From that Baylor game, I don't think you want to see a game in the teens
under
that
21 points.
There.
Yeah, right. Okay,
I can't see that. Yeah,
because
because I think the impact that it would have on what you're attempting to build from a recruiting standpoint of digging yourself out. You lose so much wind in your sails if you just go out there and lay an egg offensively in that game.
Yeah, man. Like, yeah, this is your second portal QB. You got all the you can't. You just can't.
No, y'all. I mean, listen. I don't care what Dave Aranda does defensively. Figure it out and go out there and put up points in Waco in game one. You just need to, because the offense has been holding this team back for 2 years. I get it. It's a total team game. Put up some dang points, man. Give your defense some leash to be able to make a mistake every now and then and not have to play flawlessly in order for you to win. You need to show that you can score points in that first game. Even if you lose, you got to show you can score points.
Last year,
I have more faith that defense will rebound.
Yeah.
Last year, Baylor broke 40 points 6 times. I'm sorry, 5 times. They did it versus Kansas in a win, 45-17. They did it against a really bad West Virginia team, 49-35. They did it in a Texas Tech win, 59-35. They beat the Red Raiders. And they did it against Tarleton State, which I don't know if we want to count that, 45-3. They lost to Iowa State 43-21. And they lost to Colorado 38-31 in overtime. So they can put up some points. I mean, I think the low point of the season really for them in scoring was a 23-12 loss to Utah. They only scored 12 points in that game. So that's a pretty wide floor. Like, for a team that can be pretty dynamic offensively, to lose a game where you only scored 12 points is that low scoring. That low scoring game that Ike is talking about, there's precedent for that on their schedule.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think, when you look at the teams that they scored a bunch of points on, none of those teams were good defensively for the vast majority of the season last year. And so, I think that Baylor will be a good offensive team. I think Auburn's going to need to score points. And I don't know, man. Like I said, I find it difficult to not say that this Auburn team should be special this year. Should be, because they literally there's not a thing that I look at this team and I say to myself, oh man, that's got a potential to be really good. That's got a potential to be really good. It's going to come down to whether or not Jackson Arnold can take care of the football, and whether or not, for whatever inexplicable reason, Coach Hugh Freeze is just out there calling asinine plays against teams that Auburn should absolutely beat. These teams that are in that boss column, and he lets freaking Zach Calzada come to the crib and win a game, like, I'm going to be pissed. Because it's like, there's no way that a Zach Calzada-led Kentucky team should beat Auburn at home. And I don't think Zach Calzada's a bad quarterback. He's beaten Auburn before when he was at Texas A&M, but I don't think he's going to have the talent that he had at Texas A&M around him to come do that. There's no reason why Taylon Green and his erratic arm should beat Auburn a second year in a row. I don't care if it's year 2 there in that system. They don't have anybody else really on that team to pair with him. There's no way for a 4th year in a row Diego Pavia quarterback team should beat Hugh Freeze. Just should not happen.
Yeah.
And I don't even want to mention these other 3 teams. Like, what are we talking about? I didn't even talk about Missouri in that little, like, no. You're not letting freaking Prebula, whatever his name is, the Penn State transfer kid, who threw like 4 passes all last season, beat you. You should not. Yeah. That should not happen.
Yeah.
It just shouldn't. Yeah. If it happens, then you've done something wrong.
Yeah. I have, again, all facts. I have to agree with all of that. I'm just telling you, Auburn is in the weight of expectation is here this season. You have to get it done. You've got to get it done. And I think that our predictions kind of reflect the fact that this is a proven year for Hugh Freeze. And there is a level of ineptitude that I should not tearing the table. Too many resources have been put in. Too many checks have been written. You have gotten exactly what you asked for. I'm telling you this from a place of absolute fact. I know just almost everything he's asked for, he's gotten. And so now you just have to prove that you can be the steward over what you asked for.
Yeah.
That Auburn needs moving forward.
All I'm asking is for the old Hugh Freeze. I want that old thing back, brother. Like, I need to see the Hugh Freeze that was out there with offenses that people struggle to stop because you had playmakers all over the field and you found ways to get the ball in the hands of those playmakers. And then you got lucky a couple times versus some teams where ball bounces off of somebody's helmet and lands and you got, okay, can I get that? Can I get that guy back and leave the inexplicable lost guy somewhere else?
Sure.
Yeah. I have to say, I cannot wait for that Oklahoma game. I think quietly that's going to be one of the more interesting games in the SEC this year. Auburn versus Oklahoma. I think they're both each other's start to the SEC schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And man, like, how much is that game going to tell us about Auburn? I think it's going to tell us a lot about Auburn. So you got to be able to go on the road and get wins in this league. And I don't know how you make a playoff. I don't know how you win the SEC. You can't do it unless you can go on the road and get a tough win. That's what we've seen Bama do. That's what we've seen Georgia do. Like, the thing is, yes, Georgia has had easy schedules, but over the last 3 or 4 years, when they have been called to the carpet on the road, they've gone out and they've gotten wins. They've done it neutral site. You know, in SEC championship game, they are the defending, reigning SEC champions. They know how to go out and get those dubs when they need to. And if you're Auburn, you got to prove at some point that you can be that team as well. Can you go out and get a tough dub on the road? You've got 2 shots at it to open your SEC schedule. Just get one of those. It doesn't matter to me which one it is, A&M or Oklahoma. Either would be acceptable. Take care of business at Baylor. A 4-2 Auburn headed into that stretch has them primed for something special.
Yeah.
And I am desperate, fellas, for a relevant Iron Bowl in the national discussion. I want those 2013 Iron Bowl feelings. I want the 2010 Iron Bowl feeling. But, like, I mean, Alabama wasn't going to, I think Auburn was going to the SEC championship in 2010, regardless of whether they won or lost that game, but they would not have been national champions if they had lost that game to Alabama.
No, they would not have.
And with, I can't remember, like, I don't know. Maybe you can argue 2013 because I believe that was like 1 versus 4. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that was a 1 versus 4 nationally matchup. I don't know if there's been, like, it's been an Iron Bowl with more on the line. This year could be that year where, like I said, both Auburn and Alabama are sitting there on the edge of the playoffs, and the precedent has been set from the SEC. 9 wins just is going to leave you right where Missouri and Ole Miss and Alabama were last year. Pretty good, but yeah, like, no, you're not getting in. That's too hard to justify putting a 9-win SEC team in over the runner-up from one of the other Power 4 conferences, which is essentially the decision that the committee will be faced with. And in year one, they pretty much just made a statement. Like, yes, you are the SEC, but, you know, there's a floor that you need to meet, and it's 10 wins. The conference champion got in, the conference runner-up got in, and the only other team with 10 wins in the conference got in Tennessee. So if we go into the Iron Bowl with 2 9-win teams, man, what theater is that going to be? On the Plains, Kalen DeBoer having to win a meaningful game versus Auburn to get his team in the playoff for the first time. And if they lose, I don't know, man. Three loss seasons at Alabama they seem so unconscionable based on what the precedent that Saban set. I don't, man, if they lose more, and if they lose, I don't, man, I'm telling you, you're talking about all-time levels of meltdown if it's a 4-loss Alabama team for some reason. I think they got a pretty favorable schedule as well this year, too, when you look at their schedule. They should do okay. They open at Florida State, UL Monroe, they got Wisconsin, then Georgia, Vandy, Missouri, Tennessee, South Carolina, LSU, Oklahoma, Eastern Illinois. I don't know. Tennessee, South Carolina, LSU, Oklahoma is a pretty tough stretch. Yeah. That's a pretty tough stretch.
Yeah.
Florida State, Wisconsin, Georgia is not a cakewalk either. So I guess we'll see. I don't know. I got the Tigers. I have to give my initial. I know what I said on the Boss Toss and Loss. I have the Tigers with 9. I think 9-3 is my official prediction for the season. I think they come up just short.
I think most people would take 9-3 unless you got there again the way that was suggested earlier, where you start 6-0. I think a lot of people would take 9-3. Let's get over here because there's some good comments I want to get to before we get out of here. You guys have been doing a great job of giving your opinions in the chat. I always laugh at how upset y'all get at each other in the chat because, like, man, passion abounds. My guy War Eagle, yes sir, let's go. I felt like that was gonna be. You asked for it, I had to deliver it for sure. But you know, listen, I'm in full boog this entire off season. You know, they can get me out of boog mode really quick, but right now I'm gonna stay there. Keep Kalen in Tuscaloosa says regression to the mean is real. We felt like Auburn men's basketball would find a way to win every close game, yet we lost down the stretch. Football will win close games. Listen, it's about time. They need to be able to do it. Yeah. 2 years of not being able to. They need, like, that's the reason why Auburn fans rushed the field versus Texas A&M last year, because it's like we finally won one of these. One of these went our way.
Is this comment saying that men's basketball lost down the stretch or football lost down the stretch?
That men's basketball lost down the stretch, which they did. They lost in the Final Four, but they're and really in the SEC tournament as well. But during the season, they felt like, hey, this team will find ways to win close games, and they did for the most part. But at the end of the year, they came up short. However, and basically, the thought process on this, if I'm interpreting correctly, is at some point in time, you win a bunch of these close ones. At some point in time, you're going to lose one of them. And down the stretch at the end, you did lose the ones that mattered at the end. But it's gone the exact opposite way for Auburn football for the last few seasons. You just have not found ways to win any of these games that were close games. And so they got to figure out how to do that.
It's hard to criticize a Final Four team. I mean, at the end of the day, they made it to San Antonio. So
I don't know if that was a critique. I just think it's a reality of, you know, like the difference, I think, in a team like Florida. Like Florida had been a comeback team all year in men's basketball, and they just consistently were a second half team, and that's what got them across the finish line in men's basketball. And Auburn had been a team really that kind of gave up leads consistently, but found ways to to not blow it completely. And so, you know, at some point in time, you've got to figure out how to just keep the leads that you're building. And they just couldn't do that. This Auburn again football team has not found a way to be consistent with really anything under Coach Hugh Freeze so far. That would give you a thing to point to and say, oh, but they're good at this. No, they're really only good at losing close games. NH3425 says Freeze said at his intro press conference, wait for year 3. It's put up or shut up. Year 3 is here. Also win the bowl game. Haven't done so since 2018.
Ouch. Ouch. Goodness gracious. That's painful, man.
Yeah. Let's see if there are any. I think that's the last super chat. Let's get into some other chats that are here. Appreciate everybody who's been chatting throughout. TK earlier said he thought that Texas A&M, Georgia, and Bama are the 3 best teams on the schedule. We aren't losing to all of them. I think we get UGA and Bama at home. Concerned about Texas A&M out there. Okay. Lawrence said Auburn bet not disappoint me either. Y'all should know how. Y'all should show how y'all did last year with the Boss toss and loss. That's disappointing and depressing. I'm not doing that. We didn't do well. I'll just tell you that off the rip.
I don't know if anybody did. I mean,
right.
You were predicting 5 and 7. You were a Bama fan.
Yeah,
and I think some of them did predict that.
Stephen Neely, 7 Boss and 5 toss. Auburn goes 9 and 3. Okay. That's what mine was, 7 and 5 with the Boss toss ratio. Marshall says Baylor lost. Next 2 Boss, Oklahoma and Texas A&M lost.
So he's talking about starting
Auburn,
year 2, 3, 2 and 4.
Yes. Missouri Boss, Arkansas Boss, Kentucky toss, Mercer Boss, Bama loss. Wow. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 losses on the schedule. It's rough.
4. Kentucky toss. Wow.
Marshall is not a Q Freeze
He's
believer
not
right now.
You are not boogieing if you got Kentucky in the toss column.
Yeah, at all.
Yikes.
With all those other losses, for sure, you're not boogieing. Eric Pearson says, didn't Mike say the same thing about last season's schedule? I think he did. About it being a relatively manageable schedule and one that
not to the extent that I'm saying it this year though, right? Like last year.
No, Mike came out actually last year very early and was like Auburn's gonna only win like 6 games or something like that.
I'm just telling you, I think that I don't know how anybody can argue that the schedule is as manageable as you could hope for. It's definitely not what we would have seen in an SEC West schedule. I mean, you dump Ole Miss and LSU and you pick up Kentucky and Vanderbilt. I mean, take Kentucky and Vanderbilt off the schedule and plug in Ole Miss and LSU in those games, and then tell me how you feel about it. It's probably the hardest schedule you've ever seen. With Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Georgia and Alabama, LSU, like, come on, man. This is just taking those 2 teams off. It's like a huge.
It gets rough after this year with Auburn's schedule. It's gonna get rough.
But yeah, I'm telling you, it's gonna go through cycles in this new SEC without divisions, where we're gonna see some really brutal schedules like what Florida had last year, and then you're gonna see easy schedules like this in some cycles. If you're Auburn, you have to take advantage of these easy cycle schedules.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then be the team that it doesn't matter who you line up against. We're just going to beat them anyway. Like, get your confidence back, i.e. Hugh Freeze with Jackson Arnold. And then once you have that confidence, go out there and play with some confidence. And then, all right, we're going to throw everything at you. See if you can handle that too. Hell. Texas A&M is still booty hurt that we rushed the field on them, even though they had nothing to do with that. Had nothing to do with them. They took that personal. Yeah, one of their players said it was personal, that they felt like that was a thing.
Yeah, that's a reach. That's just a reach. Come on, man. It was win number 5.
Yeah,
our fans were desperate for something. Like, just give us that. Like, I don't know if you're gonna take that personally. You're just soft. That's soft.
Yeah. Jonathan Debo, I think that's how that's pronounced, says, to be honest, anything less than 9-3 is not moving forward. It's being stagnant. It means no wins against quality SEC opponents, and 9-3 is only one win against a quality SEC opponent. Listen, I don't disagree that I don't know that 8 wins I would consider that stagnant per se, but I would say that it's not any monumental move forward. It's very incremental. Again, when you look at the teams that I would consider to be acceptable losses, I can see a scenario where you do that and it's acceptable. But yeah, to your point, acceptable doesn't move the program forward. So.
Yeah, to his point about 8-4, because he's saying 8-4 would be disappointing and not moving forward. It could. I mean, here's the thing. This is the slide that Hugh Freeze has to get off personally. It cannot be a win versus Georgia and then a loss to Vanderbilt.
Right.
And you end up at 8-4. Like, it can't be a win versus Alabama, but a loss to Kentucky. Win the ones you're supposed to win. Like, win all the games you're supposed to win, and then beat somebody nobody expects you to beat, and that's how you end up at 9-3. Personally, that's how I feel. At least to quality win. Like I said, you either got, let's say you lost to Georgia and Alabama, you beat Texas A&M or Oklahoma on the road. I think right now I consider either one of those a quality road win. If you're going to get to 9 wins, or But that's just my thought on it.
Teresa, do you guys think Coach Hugh Freeze's optimism that he had, I think she meant to say has had, helps the team morale where they believe they can win? I feel like the last few years, they just didn't believe because of the roster talk from Coach Hugh Freeze. This is a point that Mike and I have had several times about talking about the lack of talent on your team not being beneficial to your team's overall morale. Does it help this year? I don't think it hurts, right? Like, I think what you want to be able to do is inject some confidence into your team. And here's the thing. At the end of the day, what I've always thought about Coach Hugh Freeze is he's honest to a fault. And he actually believes in this roster. And so he's saying he believes in this roster. I don't think this is I don't think that this is coach speak, that he really likes this roster and the composition of it and the talent that he has. And he believes that this team can and should win football games. So he's saying it. And because he wasn't saying it before last year, I don't think he thought it. I think he thought we're okay and we can win, but we got to play darn near perfect for it to happen.
Yeah. I wanted more of a politician the first 2 years when it came to that discussion. I just don't. If you guys remember that locker room speech that somebody recorded of Kirby Smart, just like talk. I mean, he cursed a bunch in this thing, but I was ready to run through a wall at the end. And in my mind, I'm like, how can you believe what he said about those prior teams, but then go in the locker room and give a speech like that? And I'm telling you, what we heard from some of the families was we're tired of this coach getting on in front of the microphone and saying that our kids suck, because that's what they were hearing, right? I'm losing because of, this or that, right? And so, they have their thoughts on why Auburn, wasn't, where they needed to be. And I just don't think messaging. I don't think the messaging helped move you forward at all. Right. A bunch of people jumped all over me saying, here goes Mike G. West again, blah, blah, blah. There was this whole thread on On3, like, can we take a microphone away from these guys? And then a year later, everyone's talking about it. Literally everyone's talking about it. Why did he say bowl games except the team? It's all we're talking about with this guy. And I'm like, I told y'all that a year ago. That this was an issue, except for the only thing now is the stuff that they're bringing up now more Coach Hugh Freeze's side now than I was it the year before. It does. You got to get in front of the microphone and say the right things. I don't think that Kalen DeBoer has been doing a particularly good job at it since he's been in Alabama. I think he very arrogantly thinks that football is football, and he has yet to recognize publicly that in this league it's just fucking harder. And until he gets there, I think Alabama's going to continue to underwhelm. I asked him his first SEC media days about the difference between the pack. Chris Phillips reminded me on a segment that we did. He said, Mike, I think his answer to you was kind of like football is football. Respectfully, sir, SEC football is not Pac-12 football. If you haven't figured that out yet, I don't know what to tell you. I think he figured it out the first year that they missed the playoff. And they lost to Vanderbilt. And they gave up like 40-something points in regulation.
I hope they haven't figured it out, Mike.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to them being confused for a long time to come, regardless of who the coach is there. Just
defense got run off the field by Vanderbilt.
That's the slogan at Bama. Football is football. All right, because that's what the board believes.
Look, messaging matters. I do think it matters. And with the players, what I heard from the players last year, I'm not going to name any player, but I'm telling you, there were times I got calls after after the Monday presser. What is he talking about? And, they hear this stuff, man. They hear the things that you say about them, and then you can't say those things publicly and they expect them to go out super motivated or think that their coach believes in them.
Yeah.
And I think it is important to portray a belief in your team, no matter what team you have.
Right.
Those are the guys you got to coach that year. Make them believe they can win. And now in his defense, it's not that he just came out and was like, "Oh, well, these guys suck," right? It was a recruiting message that was being espoused that indirectly was taking strays. His team was catching strays.
Right.
It was a recruiting message. I just didn't like. I thought it was a better way to say we need more talent. I didn't think that post-game press conferences were the time for that message after a loss. We got to continue to recruit. That's kind of like when you say it then, it's kind of like, oh, because our guys aren't good enough.
Right.
And in some of those games,
I understand why people felt the way that they felt about it. And I was on the train of folks early in the season of like, this isn't necessarily the right messaging that needs to be said. I was also against people who thought he consistently threw players under the bus. I just felt like there's to what you said, there's a better way to say some of this stuff, even if it's true. There's a better way to say it.
Right. Yeah, and there's a time to say it, Ike.
Yeah, I don't know if there's ever a time to say any of that stuff. But anyway.
It's tough to say that publicly the way you said it, but yeah.
Chess Rockwell, hard line in the sand, playoffs or a new coach. I ain't here, but I hear you.
All right.
Ant Robinson says, all I can say is
feeling the same way, basically.
Acceptable. Wow.
And you guys feel the same way. Hey, man, listen, I ain't mad at the standard. I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, the 9-win conversation is so hard because it has Auburn knocking at the door and then coming up just short. Kind of like 2017.
Yeah.
1 win short of the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's it. They got run off the field by Georgia in the SEC championship game a couple weeks after they ran Georgia off the field. I knew Kirby Smart was coming back with some fire in that SEC championship game. I knew it was coming. I saw it coming. I was like, yo, they took that loss personally. But I don't know, man. It's 9-3 it's really hard because we're right at the end of the season potentially with a chance to beat Bama to make the playoff, and then they beat you at home again. That's a hard pill to swallow at the end of the season, man. I'm telling you, it is a really hard pill to swallow at the end of the season.
Yep. All right, last one here. Lawrence says, I'd rather Auburn lose to Baylor than Oklahoma or Texas A&M. This is an interesting conversation.
Interesting.
Oklahoma, Baylor, Texas A&M. He'd rather you lose to Baylor. Which loss do you feel like you'd rather have?
I think in the grand scheme of things, I agree with Lawrence. I think if you're winning your conference games, you're in the conversation to get into the SEC championship, which means you've bounced back from the loss to Baylor. So I'm not mad at it at all.
Yeah, we've seen LSU do it, like opening loss to Florida State and then right back in the conversation by midseason. That's what that opening SEC stretch like provides you. But I think if you lose to Baylor, it puts a lot more pressure on you to win more than one game in that first 3 to open the SEC. Right. And then now you're talking about 2-1 to stay in any relevant conversation. And that, to me, that's the tougher. I think that's the tougher of the two roads beat Baylor, win one of the first 3 SEC games, or lose to Baylor and have to win 2 of your first 3 SEC games is, man, with 2 of them being on the road and Georgia being the one that's coming to your house.
It's a tougher road, but like still, if right now you had to choose which one of those losses would you're saying you would rather be in that position, but like if you knew you were going to win 2 of the 3 regardless, which one is the one that you're taking as a loss? I take Baylor because it's the out of conference one.
It's one of the reasons why the Big Ten complains about SEC non-conference scheduling, because the Big Ten, you don't really, outside of Michigan and Ohio State and now Penn State, like, who are you playing week after week? Like, the SEC is war every week.
Yeah, and they're not playing a round robin schedule either, Caesar.
Yeah,
so like not everybody in that conference plays everybody in that conference, right? So you're right. It is. There are only a couple teams that you got to worry about, and depending on your schedule cycle, you may dodge half of them.
Right.
But then you're hiding behind, but we played 9 conference games. Okay, but
no, like but 5 of those teams were absolute cheeks.
Yay. You beat Purdue. You beat Rutgers. Like, good job, buddy. Like, it's a war week after week. So if you're able to get through the SEC fairly unscathed, you're in most playoff conversations for the most part.
Okay, so like Wisconsin plays Alabama, in the middle of their season. Right, so they scheduled Alabama. Credit to them for that. 2 weeks after, they got Maryland. Like, this after Alabama, they open with 2 cupcakes. Then they got Alabama. They got Maryland. Then they play Michigan. So okay. Iowa. Then they get Ohio State. So okay. And then they get Oregon. Then they get Washington, Indiana, Illinois, Minnesota to close their season. That's a pretty average schedule to me, even with Alabama on it. Right? Like, you play Michigan, Ohio State, and Oregon are the 3 tough games on that schedule. I don't know I don't think Washington's shit now. Like, I don't know how formidable a matchup that is now.
Washington now.
Yeah, maybe Iowa, some they're tough in certain years, but like, essentially our 3 tough games are Michigan, Ohio State, and Oregon, and then they play one non-conference P4 that's tough in Alabama. How is that dissimilar from what Auburn has on their schedule?
I mean, Iowa does have Hank Brown now, so
Nah, it's true. Maybe go.
He's not even going to be the starter there, by the way. So
no.
Somewhere he just caught a mean stray.
All right, don't walk right to Baylor.
And he's not going to be starting there either. So it is what it is.
All right,
let's get out of here, man. Good conversation today. Boss toss and loss. I know that there's going to be plenty of thoughts on what we've said about these schedule predictions. Make sure you leave those in the comments, and be sure to tell me how stupid you feel I am, so I can tell you I don't care. And I said what I said. But Mike G, tell the people ways that they can support what we got going on at the War Report.
You guys know the deal. Hit that join button, join as a patron. Saw a few people sign up today. Some memberships given away. We appreciate that. Help us grow our Green Name gang by signing up as a patron or giving away a membership with that gifted membership button. We appreciate you guys for your financial support. Helps keep us going. We're on the road at SEC Media Days. We did a lot of things on the road. We'll continue to do things on the road for you guys, bring you guys live on-site coverage, but we need your support to continue that. So please join as a member. You can also support us by subscribing on podcasts, guys. I know we asked you guys to do a lot of things with the sponsors and the signups, but most of all, we just want you guys to listen. So hit download, hit subscribe, make sure automatic downloads are turned on podcast. We've been doing record podcast numbers. We want to continue that stretch. So please, the Auburn Express Uptempo College Loop Just a Sec and the War Report Gaming channel, bringing you guys lots of great audio-only content. As always, I want to thank our title sponsor, Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code GETYOUR for 15% off your weights and code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamado grills. Work out, grill out, chill out with Golden's Cast Iron. I want to thank the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life. The Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. Visit them for all your herbal medicinal needs. And I want to thank our friends at the Vibe Vault. Get fresh for the weekend with the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crossrunds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. It's right next to the Marco's Pizza and the Renfro Supermarket, across the street from Chattahoochee Valley Community College on Highway 431. Not just barbers, lifestyle consultants. Visit the Vibe Vault today. Some of you have actually hit me up saying that you couldn't find it. They're in the process of taking down the old sign that says Mr. C's. So if you see that Mr. C's there, that's the Vibe Vault. He's gonna have that sign changed out. Hopefully, he's got to wait on the building to approve something, but it's the Vibe Vault. So just go in right next to the Marco's Pizza. And last but certainly not least, I want to thank our friends at setsforsociety.ai. Do you want to get to know yourself better, learn how you work better with a team, learn how your team can work better with you? Well, setsforsociety.ai has custom personality assessments. They'll tell you more about how you think, how you learn, and how you can grow as both a teammate, a coworker, or just a partner in general. Setsforsociety.ai. Get to know yourself now by visiting their website and getting your custom personality assessment started today. I want to thank Setsforsociety.ai for sponsoring this segment.
Oh, muted.
You're muted.
Am muted again, my bad. Share the video with somebody out there on social media at The War Report. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are again at The War Report on X and Instagram, TW Report on TikTok. We will be back at you guys this week with more great content at the Auburn Express. So make sure you guys tap in with Mike G as he's doing his work over there. I'm going to be continuing my countdown. I'm back on that. So y'all make sure y'all tap in with me there. But that's it, man. We're out of here until the next time. And as always, War Eagle.